there. So today's topic was actually inspired. Oh, crazy. So really, it's like nighttime, and I'm just creating content in so many different ways for my course, for my YouTube, for my Facebook, and I was looking gray. Anyway, so today I want to talk about how I was finally able to quit smoking cigarettes. And I'm gonna do a little mood setting on this so that you get more of a grasp on my addiction, where I was at on my path as far as other aspects of my health and things like that. So uh, May 3rd, 2017 was the last time I smoked cigarettes. And at that point, I was actually in a relationship with a disabled veteran who had a lot of illnesses, and we were spending a lot of time healing those illnesses. And we had recently moved out of a toxic black mold situation to where I was also experiencing some serious illness. And it was not too long before I found out that I had celiac disease. And some of you have followed me through that and understand how much that time in my life is actually a big part of why I do what I do. But at that point, I was already vegan. Had cut out all animal products from my diet. And I would say about 65% whole food, plant-based, so I definitely had some processed foods in my diet, especially like bread, gluten. I ate a lot of toast, and I had like a lot of tortillas and stuff for like tacos and whatnot. And I was having some breathing issues. Now, mind you, I had recently gotten out of a toxic mold situation to where I was having severe breathing issues in that house. But of course, I was a smoker, and I had been a smoker for 20 years. So it's not like I just picked up the habit or had only been doing it for a few years. But I was a 20-year smoker, which for some is like, oh, I've been smoking 30, 40, 50 years, which is much longer. But for those of you who have been smoking 5 or 10 years, let this be encouragement. And even those who have been smoking for 30, 40 years, like 20 years is a long time to be addicted to something, and so heavily addicted to something. So at this point, I had already been very consciously working on my health. I was actually doing CrossFit on about 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes 2, but on average about 4 days a week. And I was really trying to work on my getting stronger. I felt pretty good about where my diet was at, but I was still having these serious breathing issues. And I rolled my own organic cigarettes, so I didn't have all those other, chemicals in there. I had already gotten rid of my Marlboro Lights and was smoking organic tobacco, American Spirits to be exact, and I was rolling my own. And as my mom would say, Lauren, we all have our own version of the Bible, right? Because I was such an advocate for health, and here I am rolling this tobacco and smoking it like my life depends on it. And so having these breathing issues, I'm having some other physical health issues, and I'm not really sure what's going on, but I know that I don't like it. And I know at this point, my partner at the time was getting better, but she had been so extremely ill that I had watched illness, and I was not going for it. So I was really not happy with the fact that I was having these breathing issues, like I wasn't going to be sick. So I sat there in bed that night, and I just prayed. And I said, will you please help me quit smoking? I can't do it on my own. I had been thinking about it for, years, just like all smokers do. I was like, I can't do this on my own. Will you please help me? Well, this was May 3rd, 2017. I woke up the next day. I shit you not. I woke up early, like 6 a.m. I did CrossFit at like 7 a.m. And I woke up, and I had about a dozen plus swollen lymph nodes all throughout my body. Out of nowhere. The ones that really got me was I had 3 that were like right here. And I went to CrossFit, and I was at a new CrossFit gym. I had just moved to a new part of the state that I was living in, and I was had a pretty new trainer. And I asked him, I said, like I thought maybe it was something that was attached to, the weights I was lifting or things like that. And because it was the first ones I had noticed that had popped up. And I was terrified. He said, no, I have no idea. Like, he was really dumbfounded by that. Freedom, stop. I got a puppy, and he's barking at my other dog. Usually he just, oh, it's my cat. Yeah, usually he barks at the cat. So anyway, the trainer had no idea. Didn't think it was muscle related, and I really didn't either, but I was pulling at strings, because I didn't want to be sick. I was already sick and stuff like that. So I went home, and I sent a message to a doctor I used to work for, and I asked him, and he confirmed. He's like, those are lymph nodes. And he asked other places if I had them swollen in other places, and I didn't have them swollen in like the typical places like the armpit or the groin, but I did have some on the back of my head that were swollen. I did have a couple in my neck that were swollen, and just in weird places, that you don't normally check for lymph nodes for. And so, of course, I started freaking out, and I never smoked another cigarette again because I wasn't going to be sick. I wasn't going to go through what I had seen my partner going through. I wasn't going to live a life like that. I was not going to be sick. I refused. And so I immediately started taking like crazy amounts of cannabis oil. And, but I never looked back because I was afraid. And that fear is what kept me from picking up another cigarette. Now, fast forward a month from there, and I found out that my lymph nodes were all swollen, and it was the gluten, and it had to do with the celiac disease, which is a pretty common thing in celiac. But at that time, I thought I had cancer. I thought I had lymphoma. I thought the worst. And so I started immediately taking the medicine that I knew could treat anything while I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And my partner at the time was like, it was her cannabis oil because she was so sick. And she was like, look, I don't care if you're taking my medicine, but you're going to find out what was going on. And I was so terrified that I didn't even want to go to a doctor or nothing. So I started seeing a naturopath, and I started really going down the path of what the hell is wrong with me. And, outside of what I had known from the mold damage and stuff like that. But the whole point of the story is that sometimes you have to ask God, or you have to ask the universe, or you have to ask whatever creative power or energy that you believe in to assist you. And if you make a decision to do something and you ask for the help, they'll always help you 100% of the time. The only way I was going to quit smoking is if I had to face the incredible amount of illness I had seen over the few years prior from my partner. That was the only way to get my attention. There was nothing else that could have happened to make me quit smoking in that moment. So the universe is going to give you, in your way, what you need. But you have to make the decision. Freedom, come here, buddy. Sorry about that. So yeah, that is my quit smoking story, and I'm gonna get off because I don't know if my dog is ever gonna stop because of that cat. Anyway, so I love you all, and I hope that story gives you the power to not only let go of something that is no longer serving you, something that is not benefiting your highest health, and that you are not afraid to ask for help, and it'll come in whatever way you will receive it. I had to be afraid, but you may receive it in a different way. So much love, so much light, so much good health to you all. Namaste.